All right, late night for us here. Steve Walls alongside Darren Smith inside of G.E.H.A Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Too cold for us tonight, so we brought it inside. Our post-game show, Super Wildcard weekend. The Chiefs defeat the Miami Dolphins 26-7. Darren, was this all the magical experience that you thought it was going to be?
No, it was definitely freezing, and so we definitely got our money's worth when it came to the weather. And the weather was the winner in tonight's game, obviously outside of Kansas City. I thought that the Chiefs did a very good job on the opening drive, just like they did in Germany, just like they did, I believe, against Cincinnati. They marched down the field and ended up with 7 in the end zone. So I think they started off great. Obviously, I have concerns about the lack of them ending in the end zone versus the field goals, but they added points to the board and they kept after Miami, got the early touchdown with Tyreek Hill. They kept them out of the end zone and kept them away from kicking field goals. So overall, I was, I'm happy with the results.
Now you got to take with the good with the bad sometimes.
Yep.
Let's start with the bad first. The weather. Let's start there. What do you think? How did that play affect in today's football game?
It played a mental aspect to me, in my opinion, when it came to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about it with Harold on his post-game show, that it didn't seem as though Miami was prepared for the weather. Now, obviously, coming from 85-degree weather and coming here where it was in the teens, and then you had, of course, the freezing. But still, after the early touchdown with Tyreek, where Tyreek came to play early on, but it seemed like after that, it just seemed like the whole energy from the Miami Dolphins was just gone. Like they were essentially ready to go after that touchdown.
And it was interesting you say that because I felt like with no energy, it seems like you weren't ready to play.
Yeah.
It seems like that team just didn't match what at least what I saw from Tyreek Hill and bring it to the table. And I know he talked about it earlier this week and the fact of, he was going to wear short sleeves. If you don't wear short sleeves, you're considered soft. Yeah. So I think you talked about the mental side of it. I feel like that played a major part as well.
Well, and the most interesting thing is, which was surprising, they couldn't really run the football, which was the most surprising, because you would think in this type of weather, run the football to set up the pass, and the fact that they didn't really allow Mostert along with G.E.H.A to really get going. And look, a lot of that could be credited to the Chiefs defense, because granted, I mean, they were down, I guess, 7-0 and then down 10-7 or 13-7.
Yeah.
And it was like, so you're still in the ball game, and obviously one big play can get you back to the ball game or even get you in the lead. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't really try to establish the run and put more energy in keeping the Chiefs offense off the field by running the football.
Yeah, and so let's look at the defense side of the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs first. Talking to a couple of guys in the locker room post game, they said, the fact that Miami was more of the finesse team, not meaning it in a bad way, but just that they were more of the finesse team, and the fact that they wanted to,
because they weren't trying to run the football.
Yeah, they wanted to come in and just punch them in the mouth from the jump. And did you feel like that was successul on them?
Oh yeah, and I believe early on, once they got their first hit on Tua with the sack, I think George Karlaftis and then George and Chris Jones got him a little bit later. I mean, I think that they were setting the tone, so to speak, and I think they did a great job. I mean, we saw again, outside of Tyreek, getting the long touchdown pass, when Tua got sacked the first time around, Snead pretty much took Tyreek out, within that 5 yards of the snap, and so. Again, defensively, I thought the Chiefs had an excellent game plan. Again, between this was the highest scoring offensive team this season. They put up 70 points early on against the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs defense held them to 14 points in Germany and held that high-powered offense to only 7 points here. I mean, overall for the defense, that's an A in my book.
And I agree with that. I think, and I want to ask you this. How much does it play a part that they play this team already this season, and this wasn't the first matchup?
I think it was important. Obviously, if we would have had our children, you probably would have wanted to go to South Beach for the weekend.
Of course.
Yeah. So Miami screwed that up last week while we were in LA and they were at home. But no, I think. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
No. I mean, they played them early in the season.
I think it was important because. Generally, if you beat a team, you don't really make too many changes because you kind of feel like what you did worked.
But it's tough to beat the team twice.
It is. And when I actually asked Nick Bolton about it, and he said that their game plan was pretty much the same, which you don't really hear because sometimes the team that lost against you is going to make adjustments. So you try to make adjustments to what they do. But I mean, again, I think the weather was a real fact. I mean, obviously, if we were in a dome or something like that, I think the game was played a lot different because you don't have, saying the mental aspect of the weather playing a part in tonight's game.
Now look at the offensive side of the ball for this Chiefs team. Rashee Rice, the most outstanding performer today, rookie. Did you see that coming?
Yes. Now I didn't see the 130 yards coming, but I did see him having a big game. And look, and you and I, we talked in the press box, is that the Chiefs essentially have their three-headed monster: Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco. And the way that they all performed, and look, kudos to Travis Kelce because he has struggled over the last month, and he certainly got to the end zone. But if you look at the over/under, I think it was 57.5. He did get a chance to get the over and get the number of receptions along with the catches. And look, Rashee Rice, man, he's putting himself in position to be Patrick's go-to guy. Which again, I mean, what he had 12 targets, I think, 10 catches for 130 yards. So he's showing to be a number one receiver.
And the thing about it too is people don't understand the fact that I know you guys are watching late night. We appreciate you joining myself, Steve Walls and Darren Smith. We're here right inside of G.E.H.A field. Chiefs Wildcard, Super Wildcard weekend for the NFL happened ended just a few minutes ago.
They won.
They won, of course, they won. The matchup with Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa. Give me a grade for both quarterbacks.
In tonight's game, I give Tua a D. Mahomes, I'd give him a B.
He's still passing. No, I'm saying a D is passing in my book.
I mean, he did get a touchdown pass.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't fail him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't fail him.
Okay.
But I mean, okay, D minus. But Patrick gave him a B. And the reason I can't give him an A because he only had one touchdown pass, and that was early on. But also, I mean, he spearheads the offense, and the fact that you had 4 drives in field goals versus touchdowns, again, that's concerning because when we look at who they might potentially play, you can't let us go right to it. Houston, they won 45-14 against the number 1 ranked defense in the league. You can't go up against a team that scores, granted, I think they had 2 pick sixes back to back in the game, but a team that puts up 45 points, you can't go toe to toe with them and kick field goals while they're scoring touchdowns. And Josh Allen, that game, if we play them, will be in Buffalo. So, no telling what the weather's going to be. We don't know. Obviously, the game is on Monday between them and the Steelers. But if you put yourself in a situation where, Josh is going to turn the football over, that's just what he does. Yeah. So if you can't capitalize on those turnovers with touchdowns versus field goals, I mean, you put yourself in a dangerous situation, and we see how close those games between the Chiefs and the Bills always seem to be. In Kansas City, when the game is played in the regular season, Buffalo finds a way to come back to win the game because the Chiefs don't put up enough points. In the playoffs, then it goes back and forth when the game is here. This is the first time I think since the 90s or whatever where Kansas City will go to Buffalo if Buffalo wins on Monday to play in the playoff games.
Yeah, I just feel like you going to Buffalo, what Buffalo is going to bring, right? You play against Houston, you really don't, other than what you see on film, you really don't know. And playing against some young guys, they don't know what they don't know. So I think Buffalo has been that up and down team, and we talked about similar to the top teams in the league, the Chiefs and the Ravens and those teams. Houston, all they know is being young and playing football.
True. The only pushback I would say, and the only reason why I guess if we were to, we wouldn't play Houston regardless unless it was in the championship game. But no, I'm sorry, take that back. We would play them if the Steelers were. So if we were to play Houston, I think the advantage we have on our side is that the game would be outside and maybe inclement weather because they, you put them in the same situation as Miami, where you play in the dome and you play in the South, so you don't really get that. You don't get inclement weather for real down in Texas, down in Houston. So you get them up here. That could, the weather could pose a factor. And then, of course, being at Arrowhead, that would also help as well.
Okay. So does Buffalo beat the Steelers on Monday?
Well, I picked the Steelers to win, so I'm still going to go with the Steelers. Yeah. So look, I don't have a problem playing Houston here, I prefer Buffalo only because I think the Chiefs can get around after that. But again, now that I think about it, if the weather can be like this next week against Houston, I don't mind staying here.
Real quick before we get out of here, did the Chiefs did they play mistake-free football today?
Well, they didn't have any turnovers, so now
Other than the penalties.
Well, the penalties, but also they do have to clean up weather-wise with what Creed Humphrey was doing. Because I think he had a fumble that Mahomes recovered, and he had some errant snaps. So cleaning that up, and obviously the penalties. The penalties wasn't really as bad as I thought it would be. I know Jawan Taylor, I think, had one or two of them, but overall, again, if I had to grade the team overall, I'd give them a B+.
Okay, I would give this Chiefs team an A. And the reason I say that is because they struggled these past few
Can't give them A because of the 4 field goals, because you had opportunities where you couldn't push the ball to the end zone.
I still give them an A because they took what the defense was giving them. The offense took what the defense was giving. They didn't try to do too much. They didn't try to do
first and goal.
They didn't try to do too much. They didn't try to do too much.
I get it. Yeah. And to their credit, they didn't really try to do any trick plays down there. But again, you gotta get 7. So look, in the playoffs, 3 will get you beat. But you have 4 opportunities where you ended with field goals. You gotta get 7, because again, you're going up against a team in Houston and potentially Buffalo that can put points on the board at any time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if that's going to be the case, you've got to come away with more than 3 points.
I agree. So for Steve Walls, Darren Smith, live right here for our post-game show. The post-game cheat sheet is what we got, man. Darren,
the red hour.
We got the red hour coming up, but Monday, that would be Monday.
Yeah.
So I was thinking today's Sunday. So the red hour, make sure you catch myself, Sean Tyler, Darren Smith, also along with DJ Q, Monday, right here, same place you're watching us. We'll be talking all Chiefs football. We'll talk about the matchup. I guess we'll know who they'll be playing.
Well, no, actually, the game will actually the game might be ending or coming to an end while we're on the air.
Okay, no, we don't know where you're watching us from, so it'll be 6:30 to 7:30 live right here, wherever you're watching us from online. So the red hour, Monday night, myself, Darren Smith, Sean Tyler, DJ Q. Until next week, we are out of here.